I was on the first ever trainers course. Ran in a race at the time, the Racing Apprenticeship School. It was the first trainers course in Ireland, so I was on that, and you had to be 21 to get a license. So on my 21st birthday, I was awarded a license because I had done the course maybe 6 months previous. So I had my first runner then in Punchestown at the festival, in the cross country race, a few weeks later, and he was third, a horse called Little Len. And then my second runner was a horse called Adam's Fool, who came from a riding school in Galway. He was picked up. He came, and he was my second runner, and he was my first winner. He won a bumper in Down Royal first time out. So he was by Eve's Error and owned by Joe McAvoy down in Galway. So he was my first winner. And then that season, I think, out of maybe 4 horses, we had 6 winners, and it really skyrocketed from there. We went from sort of 6 horses to maybe 30 in 2 seasons, and numbers grew quite quick, and the winners were coming pretty fast, and the yard started to grow very fast, maybe too fast at the time. I was 21, and I had quite a lot of other interests at the time as well, and things going on, and it probably grew a little bit too fast to handle, but would have learnt an awful lot over the last 20 years, and it's going really, really well again, thank God.
And even going back before that, you're from a dairy background, I think, and
Yeah.
what got you kind of into the racing side of it?
So the yard here is, I was lucky I was able to build my yard on my dad's dairy farm. So dad is farming 200 acres of dairy, and I have one brother, Ronan, just the 2 of us. And Ronan's interested in horses as well, but mainly show jumpers. So we both deviated away from the dairy, but it was a thing whereby 200 acres of dairy, there probably wasn't enough to split between 2 of us and both of us go dairy farming, but both of us had other interests anyway. And so there's plenty of space here now. My dad is still dairying, and my brother rents some land and keeps quite a few show jumping horses. And then obviously the racing industry from my side, my own business, doesn't need as much ground, but I really enjoy what I'm doing. I always did. I loved sport when I was younger, so my mum was brilliant. She brought me swimming, she brought me to rugby, she brought me to football, she brought me everywhere. She was a constant taxi, and I went to school then in King's House in Dublin, and would have played a huge amount of sport. And when I left school, during school I did my work experience with Willie Mullins, so at 15, so that was what I had in my head. I just loved racing. My dad would have brought me point-to-pointing on a Sunday when I was younger, and I remember pleading with him to bring me to the actual races proper. So we went to the Irish Grand National. There was a huge crowd. I loved it, he hated it, and I got a great buzz out of it, and really, really enjoyed it. So then I grew up on ponies also, would have done a lot of pony clubbing and eventing. As I say, went to Willie on work experience then, went to Ag College then after school in Kildalton, but spent most of my day working for Aidan O'Brien rather than being in college. So he was champion jumps trainer at the time, and loved working for Aidan down there. That was a great experience. Then finished my year in Ag College and had to do placement. So my placement from Ag College, I spent it with Jessica Harrington. So
the farming was never number one. So.
No, farming was never number one. So absolutely loved sport, loved horses. So racing was the obvious road to go. And so came home from Ag College and started to pre-train 3 or 4. And they were horses that probably hadn't a huge amount of form, but then sent them back to their original trainers, and they done really well. So that gave me a huge level of encouragement. Also had a horse of my own that I pony clubbed called Slaney Sauce, and I rode him in a few point-to-points, and we were placed, and should have won one day and fell. But anyway, I definitely wasn't going to be a jockey, or I wasn't any good either. But I really enjoyed that. But started off training then at home, and the numbers grew very quickly. So I knew I had to give up riding. very quick. And as I say, I wasn't very good at it anyway.
You're probably a bit too tall anyway, I'd say. But
Yeah, I was 6'4". I put on a good bit of weight to play rugby at 17, and then on my 18th birthday, rode in my local point-to-point here, and as I said, fell off. But had to lose probably 1.5 stone to do 12 stone at the time, and but I really enjoyed it. It's something I really enjoyed doing, and probably would have stayed doing it for a little bit longer, other than the interest in training just grew and the numbers grew here quite quickly.